a giant house. In it lived a giant mouse, and he ruled over all the land. What made him king was not his size. He was bold and very wise. He loved his people, and they praised his name. Then one day a darkness fell. The king succumbed to an evil spell. His country's wealth he looted without shame. The people cried, "This isn't fair. You take it all and you won't share. We will fight and take back what is ours." A mighty war did ensue. The giant mouse they overthrew. So he fled, vowing to return. Now a king, he is no more. He doesn't live like he did before. The palace he once knew has become a tiny house. A tiny house with a tiny mouse who's hungry for a great big piece of cheese. A tiny house with a tiny mouse who's hungry for a great big piece of cheese. The king returned with an evil horde. He fought his way to where the treasure's stored. He opened up the vault and hung his head. In there was an empty room, cold and dark like a tomb. The doors were shut, the people had their mouths. Now he sits in a prison cell. Day from night he cannot tell. The palace he once knew has become a tiny house with a tiny mouse whose dreams of lust have turned to dust, as they must. Inside his little tiny house. A tiny tiny house. A tiny house with a tiny mouse who's choking on a great big piece of cheese.